Hi, this is another video now about my second book. This book is called From Malin Head to Mizen Head, and it's about a journey around the sea area forecast. I was inspired to write this book after reading Charlie Connelly's book. Now, Charlie Connelly's book is about the BBC shipping forecast, and the shipping forecast runs over a much larger geographical area. And Charlie is not a meteorologist and no relationship with the weather, but he travelled to all of the regions covered in the BBC shipping forecast. So this is a video about my book, not Charlie Connelly's book, but I highly recommend you read Charlie Connelly's book too. When I was doing my book, it was, I think they started in around September 2022. It was coming up on the 1 year anniversary of my mum's passing, and I needed to get away, and I got in the car and I drove to Loop Head, and I had an amazing day out on my own, out at the lighthouse, sitting on the rocks into the Atlantic, watching the waves come crashing in, feeling the heat from the rocks on my body. And I had been thinking about another book and looking for an inspiration, and I had just read Charlie's book, so that got me thinking maybe I can do something with our sea area forecast. Different angle to Charlie's book about the shipping forecast. My approach is somewhat different. My book is not really a travelogue, although I did go to all of these points all around. I went to Mizen Head. It was a wonderful storm that time. I remember not being able to take a photo when I got to Mizen Head because the wind was so strong I couldn't hold the camera out. When I went to Malin Head, I met some wonderful people right up at the top of Malin Head, and they told me about the troubles on the Inishowen Peninsula that they had with their houses crumbling due to the deficiencies in the concrete. And I was able to look at the history of the climate around the time that these houses were built and make a connection there to the weather. It was really interesting people. Some Ali Farron, I think, is up in Malin Head there. In Loop Head, I met some really great people and we chatted about Che Guevara. I went to all of these regions. I met really interesting people. I had a great time. I talked about the night of the big wind that affected a lot of the country, particularly parts of Mayo. There's things like the history of the National Hurricane Centre, why they named hurricanes and how that came to influence our naming storms here. I'm making this video on the eve of the anniversary of Hurricane Ophelia hitting Ireland, so that all that information is in here too, and the information of that storm was actually the anniversary of the other winter October storm that affected the UK, a huge storm that caused devastating loss of lives. Michael Fish memorably said there wasn't going to be a hurricane, and then the next day everybody woke up to absolute devastation across parts of the UK. A very, very interesting storm. Of course, it wasn't a hurricane, but there were hurricane force winds caused by a sting jet. So I've written all about sting jets, which are really interesting if you have any interest in meteorology whatsoever. Everything is in this book. The big storms that affected the country, the big heat waves that affected the country over the years, it's all in here. It's a kind of a history of meteorology, a history of forecasting, and a little bit of a travelogue too. So I hope you enjoy it. Again, it's available at all good bookstores and links below. Sinead, slán go bóil.